Hello friends, and welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these Kandi heart gloves. Somebody had left a suggestion on one of my videos that I should make one of these, but when I did some research I couldn't find anything on these gloves, so I had to kind of come up with my own design. So the heart was actually pretty difficult because I really wanted it to resemble a Kandi star glove, but the only thing that I could find on hearts were actually these like tiny ones here. And there's some other versions of bigger hearts you can do, like peyote stitches and other things like that, but I didn't want it to be a peyote stitch. So I tried making like a jumbo version of that, and I just really didn't like the shape. I figured out a way to fill in the middle piece, and the rest of this is going to be just like the Kandi star glove, which I also have a tutorial on if you are interested. But let's go ahead, let's waste no time, let's go ahead and get started on this. All right, so first thing I'm starting off with is some 1mm stretch cord. I really would recommend this just because these hearts do need a lot of shaping, and this is going to be your best way to help shape it. Now, what we are going to start off with is actually a mini heart. So the first thing I'm going to do on one side of my string, I'm just going to add 8 beads. And with 8 beads on my string, I'm going to put this towards the end because we're going to use this extra string. I'm going to go ahead and tie this off. And I'm going to tie this really tight. We need this to be tight so we can hold its shape. And I'm going to give this a handful of ties. And then I'm going to trim off the tiny tail. And I am going to mold this into a square. There we go. Now we're gonna want one side of our string to be sticking out of one of these corner pieces. So if yours is not, you'll just weave it through the beads until it's sticking out of the corner. We're gonna take our square and we're gonna turn it just like this to make it a little diamond. And once we have it as a little diamond, we're gonna go ahead and start adding on the little bumps, I'd say, for our heart. So to start, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my string and I'm gonna add on 4 beads. With our 4 beads added, we're gonna go ahead and weave it through the top corner of our diamond. Now, direction is important. We want to make sure that when we take our string, that it goes like this and not over the bead. So we're going to take our string and we're going to weave it through the tip of our diamond and we're going to pull. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and add 4 beads. And we are going to weave it in to the other point of our diamond here. So the one directly below it. And when we pull, it will make a tiny little heart. And we are actually going to go ahead and tie this off. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my string, I'm going to weave it into these 2 beads here. So we're just going to take it right through the middle. And it should be in between these 2 beads. This will create a big loop. You're going to take your tail and pull it through that loop. And we're going to pull tight. We want this to hold its shape. Pull tight. Not tight enough where it's going to snap your string, but tight enough to hold the shape. And we're going to do this a handful of times. Now that I have it tied off, I'm going to go ahead and cut off my tail. And there she is, a tiny little heart. Now we're going to go ahead and take our string and we are going to weave it through these top corners. So on your little hump, there should be 4 beads. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to weave it into the 3rd bead. And on the top of the string, we're going to add 5 beads. So with our 5 beads added, we're going to take our string and we're going to weave it into this side here. So the other 3rd bead on our little hump, and we should have a tiny little point at the top of our beads. Now we are going to take our string and we're actually going to go ahead and tie this off. So we're going to do the same thing like we did when we were tying off our diamond. We're just going to weave it through underneath and we're just going to make the little loop and we're just going to tie. And we're going to do this on the same side here. Now remember to leave a little bit of string on each side. That is important. Now with everything tied off, we're going to go ahead and finish off our heart. So we're going to take 8 beads down each side of the string. Now with 8 beads on each side of our string, we're going to take one end and we are going to weave it through the tip of our point that we had made. So I'm going to go ahead, take it like this, and I'm going to pull. And then I'm just going to take the 2 tails and I'm going to tie them together. Ooh. Just like that. And we're going to tie these tight because remember, we want these to hold its shape. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off both of my tails. And now you have a giant heart. Giant. Now, I tried to do this in a way where like there wasn't as much like taking and cutting string and tying it as we did like for here, but I just couldn't get it to look right without doing that. I don't know what the science is behind it, but it is important to make sure that we're cutting the strings and not doing it in one big piece, or else it's not going to look right. And from there, that completes our little candy heart. The next step is adding on the candy piece and then the ring piece. So we're going to start with this piece here. Now, for the middle, I tried it with pony beads and I just feel like it took away from the heart aspect. Like it didn't really look like a heart that much. So I would recommend just something simple like little letter beads. Also, I used a base head bead for this one. I do have an affiliate link. Use code FEEDRAGON for 10% off your next order of base head beads. The base head beads also work really well for the middle of this. For me, I thought it would be fun to use this pride bead from Base Head Beads. So we're gonna see how that works. Now, to make the actual candy single part, we are going to take our string and we are going to weave it in to these 2 beads here. So if we start from the point, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna weave it in between 3 and 4. And I tried doing this through just 1 bead and it kind of made the heart like go into a point. So to keep that rounded edge, going through 2 beads helps. This is your time now to add on any little middle beads. And let's see if this works. And we're gonna take our string and we're gonna weave it through the 2 beads. So remember, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and build that. If you're following along, go ahead and pause and then play when you are done. I'm done adding on my beads, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a tie. And you're gonna tie it just like you would a normal candy single. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. And we have the first part of our glove done. So now we just need to add on the finger extenders and then the ring. So in order to do that, I'm gonna take my string and I'm going to weave it through the bottom point of our heart. And we are going to do a ladder stitch. Now, I already have my measurements for what feels comfortable going down to my middle finger. And for me, that was adding 4 beads to the ladder stitch. You might be different. The best way to tell is just to add beads and then just measure as you go. I stopped mine right about here at my first knuckle. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add 1 bead down the side of my string. I'm gonna take the other side of my string and I'm going to weave it through this red one. So we're gonna crisscross our strings. So whatever side of the string is sticking out is where you're gonna start your weave. So my string is sticking out of here and I'm gonna take my string and weave it through the opposite way and I'm going to pull. And this is gonna create our first ladder stitch. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna go ahead and take our bead down one side of the string. We're gonna take our other string here and we're going to weave it through the bead we just added. Remember, the opposite way. So crisscrossing those strings and we're gonna pull. And for me, I'm gonna do this 2 more times. My bead down one side of the string. We're gonna take the other side of our string and we're gonna weave it through and pull. And then lastly for me, just 1 more bead. And I'm gonna pull. And that is how we make the extenders for our candy heart glove. Now I am going to tie this off just because I find it holds better. So I'm gonna take one end of my string and I'm gonna weave it through one of these loops here. And this is gonna create another little loop, and I'm just gonna tie. Now I'm gonna take my other side of my string and I'm gonna weave it back through my bead here, and I'm gonna meet up with this other tail. I'm not gonna pull it all the way through or else it's gonna undo this knot. So then I'm gonna take my two tails, I'm gonna tie it together, and then I'm gonna pull it. And this is the best way to hide your knot. So I'm gonna tie this just one or two more times. I'm gonna take one side of my string and I'm gonna weave it back through this bead here. And I'm gonna pull, and this is gonna pull that knot into the bead and it's gonna hide it. All right, and the last step is just adding on our ring piece. So for me, I did 10 beads for my middle finger. So I'm gonna go ahead and add on my 10 beads to one side of my string. I have my 10 beads added on, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my two tails and I'm gonna tie it together. And I'm not gonna tie mine too tight. I don't like my candy rings tight at all, but it's totally up to you and what feels the most comfortable. And I'm just gonna tie these two together. And then I'm gonna trim off my two tails here, hide my knot here, and ta-da! You have your very own candy heart glove. And would you look at that? Look at how cute this thing is. You know, honestly, if someone has a better design out there, I genuinely would really love to see it. I'm not crazy confident in my design, but I would love to see if maybe you have your own take or what patterns you come up with. A lot of you guys have actually been telling me about the creations you make through my tutorials. I even had one person make it their profile picture just so they could show me. And oh my God, I'm so obsessed. And I've had people tag me on Instagram as well. So here, I'm gonna put my email down here. So if you make something using my tutorials, I would love to see it, and maybe even add it as an end card at the end of my videos so that way you guys can also see what other people create. I thought that would be fun. Alrighty, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope this tutorial helped anyone looking to learn how to make one of these. If you guys have any questions, comments, feedback, please leave it in the description below. Feedback really helps the channel grow. I want the positive, I want the constructive, I want it all. Thank you so much for watching. And this video, like many others, was a suggestion, so please leave your suggestions down below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.